Frieren and Solo Leveling are two anime which have been pit up against each other, mainly due to the anime awards, with Solo Leveling getting a lot of flack for having an overpowered main character who always wins. Some people find the criticism for Solo Leveling unjust, considering Frieren also has an overpowered main character. And it's pretty much universally praised by everyone in the anime community. However, there are a few reasons why one is perceived way better than the other. And that's what this video is going to be discussing. But before I get into that, I just want to let y'all know that I'm currently pushing for affiliate on Twitch. I stream every Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 PM EST, with content focused on JRPGs. If that interests you, feel free to drop on in. And with that out of the way, let's get back into the video. Before we talk about how Frieren pulled off having a good overpowered main character, we first need to talk about the common issues with broken main characters. First is the fact that it's really hard to develop one. In most stories, character development comes through struggle. However, in Frieren's case, it doesn't. They supplement it. Instead, her character arc is the result of guilt for not cherishing the time she had with her companions. The second issue is that every fight and conflict tends to become stale. A great fight scene is either a story beat or the combination of setup leading to suspenseful fight. They change the plot's trajectory in a major way. But when the main character always wins, that trajectory becomes predictable, meaning the fight scene often doesn't add anything new for the audience. Frieren solves this issue pretty well by feeding us world building and new information that is directly linked to the fight. Qua's fight shows us how quickly magic evolved, which is possible due to how the fight is set up. Qua had an overpowered spell but was sealed for 80 years and now everyone has learned to counter it. The fight with Aura shows us how Frieren hides her mana, a trick that is only good for deceiving demons, which is made more fitting due to the artifact that Aura has, which pits two people's mana against each other. The list goes on. Compare this to Solo Leveling's fights, which is mainly just Sung Jin-woo fighting a new boss and killing it. No new major info, no development, no juicy story. The third and most critical problem that tends to result from having overpowered main characters is the bland and often unimportant support characters. Any decent author can make a good main character, but a great one makes interesting support characters that make the story way more 3D. The reason this tends to happen with overpowered main characters is that they really don't need help with anything. They can trample any foe, and due to that, they really don't need support from anyone. Often, bad writers will use this to not have to write any other interesting characters. Frieren, however, doesn't. Instead, it links the support characters to Frieren's main arc. This was the topic of my Xenoblade video, but I'll mention it here. Having multiple characters play an integral role in helping each other and being the catalyst for each other's growth can make a story truly amazing. And Stark and Fern do this really well, mainly by giving Frieren a second chance. They also both have deep story, especially Fern. Their interactions aren't just generic surface level points, but very natural, story-rich moments. In Fern's first major interaction with Frieren, we learn her motivation that sets up her entire arc. It's to make sure that Haiter, the person who took her in as a child, knows that she can fend for herself by learning magic. It's her opening up to Frieren, and it directly addresses what Frieren felt so guilty for. As before, when her friend was being buried, she cried, asking herself why. Why didn't she try to know and understand him more? And it's at this moment that Frieren is presented with a chance, as up until then, she did not want to take Fern as an apprentice, but now she has a choice, to continue to remain distant or truly connect with someone. From then on, Fern becomes an integral part to the story, almost as much as Frieren. They both have their own arcs, but their connection is amazing. However, once again, Solo Leveling fails at this, as their characters don't have any major change in the story. They have some backstory, but the spotlight is almost always on Sung Jin-woo, and it makes them feel 2D. In other words, it isn't about having an overpowered main character, but how much you rely on that to carry your story. A truly great story can't be carried by one character. You need good support characters and memorable villains. But it seems that Solo Leveling's supporting characters are just there to hype up Sung Jin-woo, or set up for when he inevitably saves everyone. They never got a real moment in the spotlight to flesh out their characters' backstory or develop, which resulted in a very lackluster power fantasy with no juicy story. And that is why a lot of people feel like it didn't deserve to get the win over Frieren. Anyways, with that being said, that's the end of today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.